it's going to read the tabs to direct its movements. If you're bringing in a lot of codes or importing or have hundreds of codes to make into a text file to import into Topo, because it's only going to take a text import, I encourage you to use Excel. So in this example, I have an Excel spreadsheet brought up, and all I did is I copied and pasted the description lines from the text file and I pasted it into the Excel worksheet. Now you can bring in your codes and then align your codes to the proper columns for Cyclone 2 to understand them. So this is the way it keeps track of tabs. If you had your, just like we had it up above, TC1 for the code description, top of curb, quick code is T, type is line. Remember, we don't have Linework, so we're just going to skip it and go right to layer name, street lines. Okay? So what this does is it keeps track of your tabs. Instead of having everything not lined up here, if you have a lot of codes, things get rather confusing. Here is, I'm going to show you another list I have, code list, and show you that it can get a little confusing when you are actually going through the process of keeping track of the columns and rows. Let's see, so let me open up this one. Okay, so you can see here in this list that these are nicely lined up, but this starts getting a little hairy in here. Where do you have it lined up? Which tab lines up where? And especially if you have 100 of these, it's going to be hard. So I don't go over that in the manual, but I do mention it here because it's important. So after you have your 100 codes lined up, and then just delete the columns that don't line up. If you don't have it here, Cyclone 2 is not going to understand it. So just learn what type and line work mean and the layer names. The layer names actually would be the DXF layer names. If you export your points and line work using the DXF export out of Cyclone 2 Topo here, you'll export the lines and points, text, the text fields out to any program that supports DXF, and the layers will be named. Your point layer, text layer, and line layer will be named for this right here. So all your codes that are TC1 will end up in the street lines layer. Okay, so you can have as many different layer names as you want, and this helps you control your layers if you do a lot of controlling of line work, weight, color, etc. Okay, so then you, at the end, when you're done, you just go ahead and save as other formats in Excel, and then go down to the tab delimited field here, tab delimited text here, and just export codes. Okay, and then just it's going to give you some formatting warnings. Just get rid of it, and then it just created this file here. Move this over. So it just created this code list text file, and this is what you need. I'm going to open it up. Here you go. So go ahead and just delete the first line. Alright. So then when we import it, import the code list, you can see TC1's already here, but I'm going to go ahead and import it again. When you import a code list, it's going to replace any code list you currently have in there. It's not going to add on to the list. So if you have 1,000 codes in there already and you import one code or 10 or whatever, those 10 are going to replace the whole 1,000 and all the coding on your point cloud. So be a little careful when if you've already coded a cloud with a bunch of codes, it's not a good time to change your code list. So let's go to the desktop where I put this. Codes here. Okay, so here's a warning. It says some data may not be consistent with what you've already done. If you press details, it'll show you, right? It says not undoable. Okay? If I say proceed, you can see here my entire list is gone and replaced just with the one code that I created. Now, when I pick TC1 as a code to use, automatically I'm going to start to put down line work. Okay? So this is nice when you use code-driven line work, because you can just start picking lines, and automatically your lines start coming out without having to go down and pick this out of the field here to pick start line or start area, or have something just be a point. And you can see down your virtual field book what happens here. So I encourage you to import your current code list into Excel. Put it in this format here. Line up the columns appropriately. Delete ones that won't fit with the system here. Save out as a tab delimited text file, and then go ahead and import into Cyclone 2 Topo.